What's going on? Welcome into another episode of the Fantasy Football Fellas podcast. I noticed on the last episode, so the people didn't get a what's going on in the last episode, because when I did it, I like totally maxed out my mic, and it just sounded like I was like, sorry, you probably had to experience that all over again, but it sounded like a wind tunnel coming through on the what's going on. It is Lucas and Tyler hanging out with you today. Tyler, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going. I'm very ready for it to be the weekend.
Yep.
And you know what? It's always a pick me up when you get to do a little mock draft for an episode. So I'm in a good mood.
I love mock draft episodes. They're the best kind of episodes, because now that we're in the middle of draft season, we've perfected our draft strategy. So now this is mock draft 4.0 that you're going to be getting today. I mean, this is going to be peak performance from us. This is going to be the pinnacle of all mock draft episodes this off season, and you're getting it just in time for your fantasy football drafts. So we're looking forward to bringing that to you today. Make sure to prepare for your draft season. You get your hands on the Fellas Draft Guide, the $5 Fellas Draft Guide. How about that? The FDFD, $5 Fellas Draft Guide. The FDFDG, like, baby. I don't know why we didn't market it that way from the get-go. That's a mistake. That's branding for next year. There we go.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's always next year.
There's always next year. Yes, get your hands on the Fellas Draft Guide. You can find that down in the description of this YouTube video, or if you're listening to the podcast, you can listen, or you can find the link to our draft guide down in the description of the podcast as well. $5, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, plus your email, please. Like, we really need your email. Make sure you include that so we can actually send you the guide. Big part of getting the draft guide. So we're looking forward to getting you all that. Tyler, let's just honestly, I just kind of want to dive into this mock draft. I don't even want to beat around the bush with this thing. I want to give the people what they want right now, and that is how they should be drafting from the 105 and from the 111. We're in a 12-man half PPR league. One quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, one tight end, one flex, 5 bench players. Yours truly is drafting from the 105. Tyler, you are drafting at the 111, right on the turn. Honestly, one of my favorite spots to draft from this year.
I like it too. But we'll see how it falls, because that's really what it depends on. It's just how the board falls, because in some drafts, in best ball, a little bit different, but best ball, I've had picks on the turn, nothing goes my way. But I've also had picks on the turn where everything goes my way. So it really depends on who falls. And I like the fact that we've got 5 sleeper bots in between our picks. So
I know. Yes.
I've got a good feeling, but we'll see how it goes.
100% agree. I have a back half pick in a lot of my drafts this year. Like, we're talking in 12 mans, anywhere between 9 and 12. And I am loving all of the teams I'm drafting from those spots. So drafting from the 5 is going to be a little bit of a headache, I think. It's not my favorite spot to draft from, but hey, I want to give the people what they want. And I'm going to help them draft a league-winning team from the 5th overall pick. And we're going to make it happen.
The people just want to see us suffer. Let's be real. They don't want us to succeed. They want us to fail at what we're doing. And you know what? We'll take that challenge.
Let's get into it. No more beating around the bush. Let's dive into this mock draft. Going off the board at the 101, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook. I'm on the clock at the 105 here. Derrick Henry is still on the board. And this is a spot I'm terrified of, because I see Derrick Henry there and he's saying, you should draft me because I'm a Yeti. On the other hand, he's nearing 1,500 touches. He's at 1,496. Once running backs hit that 1,500 touch threshold, they fall off a cliff. Only running backs we haven't seen do that are Adrian Peterson and LaShawn McCoy. So Derrick Henry, obviously, in that same company. How much do I trust him to hold up after his Lisfranc injury last year? I'm going to do something I haven't done before. I'm going to take my number 1 wide receiver here, and I'm going to try and build my team with a wide receiver in the first round. I've never done this before. I'm starting to lean more towards having one of these stud wide receivers in this range. And I'm going to update my rankings here soon. Justin Jefferson is going to be my number one wide receiver in fantasy football this year. He is my first round pick at the 105. Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, Najee Harris, Devontae Adams in the first round. My goodness. Tyler, back half of the first round here. I know my favorite strategy is to stack up on running backs here, especially when you look at guys like DeAndre Swift, Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara, not Nick Chubb. Specifically, DeAndre Swift and Alvin Kamara are still on the board. What are you thinking here, tail into the first round? But you also have two really good wide receivers on the board yet, too.
Yeah, see, if Devontae Adams wasn't the pick before, my mind would be set on running back at this point. But there's just one guy that I feel like you have to take if he's available at the 11 spot. That's Jamar Chase.
Yes.
I don't know why Devontae went ahead of Jamar Chase, but this is that good feeling I was talking about, that the sleeper bots will just somehow give me gifts all draft long. So, yeah, Jamar Chase in the first round. That's a pretty straightforward pick, I think.
Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, DeAndre Swift. I mean, this is a tough spot. This would be a tough spot if I were in your shoes, because you have a top 4 wide receiver on the board, and you also have a top 4 running back should he play the entire season on the board.
Part of me wants to go 0 RB just to see how it goes, but I can't pass up Alvin Kamara at this spot. I mean, he's a top 5 back at this point. I don't know why he's not going earlier in drafts. That's a topic for another time. I'm getting a RB1 in the second round. That's great value in my mind.
Yeah, like a high value RB1, not just any old RB1, like insane value RB1. Stephon Diggs, Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, Tyreek Hill, Aaron Jones off the board next. Honestly, I hate this spot because I'm looking at a multitude of different players here. None of them are running backs, which is why I want to go running back first round. So I'm not in this scenario of the next best running back on the board, according to my rankings, is Leonard Fournette. And that's not somebody I really want to take at the 208. Something I do want to do, though, I'm going to take positional advantage here. I'm really starting to see the value in snagging a tight end early. And Mark Andrews, he's one of 2. It's him and Travis Kelce at the top, right? And now we're getting reports of J.K. Dobbins likely being eased back into the offense and Mike Davis getting touches right away. That to me says, hey, Lamar, we're going to need to put some passing load on your shoulders a little bit more to start the season. So, I mean, I'll take positional advantage at tight end. I'll find depth at running back and wide receiver down the road. And honestly, this fell to me so perfectly.
So perfect.
CeeDee Lamb, Josh Allen, Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, Kyle Pitts, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Javonte Williams, and back to me. You know how I brought up Leonard Fournette last round? Yeah, he didn't go. So I am staring Leonard Fournette dead in the face right now. I will take one of my top 12 running backs on the season. Look, this team is going to be depleted with weapons. I trust Tom Brady is going to be checking out the ball to Leonard Fournette plenty this year. I will happily take Leonard Fournette in the third round to be my running back 1 after going 2 elite pass catchers in the first 2 rounds. Ezekiel Elliott, Patrick Mahomes, James Conner, Justin Herbert, Deontay Johnson. Tyler, you chose to kind of stagger your picks here, a wide receiver and a running back with your first 2 picks. A lot of juicy wide receiver names on the board here.
There is. And I think as much as I want to go running back here, I'm going to go down the board a little bit because it seems like everyone is just down on this guy, but not us. It's Mike Williams.
Yeah. Get your guy.
Him. I'm pretty sure I've got him as a top 10 wide receiver this year. So I'm getting 2 top 10 wide receivers and a top 5 running back in my first 3 picks. I'm sitting real pretty at the moment.
Can I acknowledge one thing though? You went down 1.5 miles to go get Mike Williams. Why'd you do that?
Because he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver. That's the worst explanation, but
he's also not going to make it past me because I would have taken him probably in the 5th round, which is where he's going right now, which is absolutely insane. I mean, so you went down and got your guy.
That's just it. And I could have waited, but when I'm on the turn and there's so many good guys, right, that I could have taken between Montgomery and Pittman and Breece Hall, just go get the guy I want most. Let the other team decide for me. Because I would have been happy with any combination of that. of those players.
100%. And speaking of Michael Pippen, he's still on the board here. You got David Montgomery, Brees Hall you're looking at as well. You're looking to balance out running back. You could just keep stacking wide receivers in the early rounds.
I'm going to stack up on wide receivers again because I've got my eye on someone that I'm really, 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 really hoping falls back to me. And I've got a long ways to wait. So, I mean, the smart thing to do is to take a running back just because I do have such a long way to go, but I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to grab Michael Pittman as my wide receiver 3. And I've got Michael Pittman statted out as a wide receiver 1 this year. So I've got 3 wide receiver 1s according to my projections. And with Kamara as my running back, I'm okay taking, waiting a bit on running back, I should say.
Well, no, that's 100% it, right? Because all of a sudden your 2 wide receiver spots and your flex spot are filled by your projections to be wide receiver 1s, which is what you want. That's how you're going to crush your league mates. And if Alvin Kamara even plays, he was running back 8 in 13 games last year. Okay. That's a top 10 running back still on your team. Like if Alvin Kamara plays 15 games this year, he's going to be a top 5 running back, right? Like that's how good he is. And when you could stack up on wide receivers like that, then that is priceless. David Montgomery, George Kittle, Josh Jacobs, Brees Hall, DK Metcalf. Back to me here. I'm not in love with the board, honestly. I'm not a fan of a lot of guys here. So what I might do is actually just kind of let the board play itself out. I'm going to go get a guy here. I'm going to get a stack. I'm slowly falling in love with the stack. You know how I talked about Lamar Jackson needing to take some more passing load on his shoulders to start off the season. I'm going to go stack him and Mark Andrews right away. It's a unique strategy that I'm trying out here. I think it's going to be one of the better stacks, I think, this year. That isn't a quarterback wide receiver stack to have Lamar Jackson and a top 2 tight end, right? Now that Hollywood Brown is gone, I don't think Rashad Bateman will step up and take, 120 of those targets, but some of those are going to get redistributed to Mark Andrews. Not a ton, but he's still going to see volume if anything comes down, right? Marquise Brown leaving the team is going to help bring that volume back up, if you ask me. So I typically don't endorse quarterback that early, but this is a unique draft. I'm trying something new here. I'm not a fan of the 5 spot, so I'm just seeing how the board plays out as we go here. Darren Waller, Travis Etienne, Terry McLaurin, Jalen Waddle, Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore, J.K. Dobbins, Antonio Gibson. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait a little bit longer on running back and just hammer those later because we're kind of in the running back dead zone right now. And there's one guy I'm looking at who probably could pay off at his ADP, but I don't think I'm going to reach for him. I'm going to take my wide receiver 2. That's going to be Allen Robinson in this Rams offense. Allen Robinson filling the role of Robert Woods this year. Oh, no, I know exactly who you wanted to. That's got to hurt. I'm going to finish talking about Allen Robinson, and then I'll let you have your moment. Filling the role of Robert Woods, who was the wide receiver 11 in half PPR formats before his ACL tear last year. Look, I know Cooper Kupp is there, but Allen Robinson has top 15 upside this year. And to get that as my wide receiver 2, I will happily take that with having Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, and Leonard Fournette on my team. I'm liking the well-roundedness of this team, and I'm probably just going to start hammering home running backs here in the next few rounds. I'll let you get to your misery because Marquise Brown, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Mitchell, A.J. Dillon, one of Tyler's my guys, and Kyler Murray went off the board next. And I know you were hoping your my guy would fall to you, your flight plan.
See, I took a risk, and I knew he wouldn't get back to me, but I said, you know what? Let's just try it. Let's just try it out. So now that he's not on the board, and I'm looking at running backs on the board at the moment, and I'm like, no thanks. I'm also going to do something I don't normally do. 5th round quarterback is a little bit early for me, but when I've got Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow still on the board, I'm going to just go get one of the more dynamic stacks you can get in fantasy football, right? You've got Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews. I think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase is right up there with them. So I like it.
I guarantee people are going to say you reached on Joe Burrow, even though people are all in on Joe Burrow this year.
He's got a weird ADP because, like you said, everyone's going to say that I reached, but some people are so in on him that it's worth the ADP. So I don't know. Somebody's lying here.
And you drafted him at his current ADP. You didn't reach. He was literally the best player on the board.
Yep.
On the turn, Amari Cooper, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Again, no really running backs that are reaching really too far down the board for. I don't know, maybe not in my eyes, but there's still a lot of talented wide receivers here. It's also a decent looking tight end on the board too. What are you thinking?
So I'm kind of looking at the running backs that are still available and kind of lining up the targets and all that and thinking, okay, if I get this to play out right, I can get the certain amount of running backs that I'm looking for. I can wait on wide receiver because I've got 3 wide receiver ones. So I probably need to go running back. Probably need to reach down the board a little bit. But man, I like TJ Hawkinson. I like Dalton Schultz. I like Brandon Cooks, even as a wide receiver 4. Oh man. Oh geez. Okay. We're going to do it. I'm going to reach down and grab Kareem Hunt as my RB2. And I get it's a reach, but the strategy I have in mind could pay off really, really, really well if it all falls to me the way that I'm thinking it will.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. If that's the thing, right? Because you have 3, like you said, wide receiver 1s according to your rankings in a 12-man league. Alvin Kamara has top 10 upside. We've seen him finish top 11, the past 2 years when on the field, right? Like Kareem Hunt is no joke. Myles Gaskin out-targeted Kareem Hunt when Jacoby Brissett was a starter for the Dolphins last year. So Kareem Hunt is going to get his passing volume. That's not something to be worrisome about here. I love Kareem Hunt. I'm fine that you reach down for him because, again, you're in a spot where you need to go get your guys. Dalton Schultz, Michael Thomas, Miles Sanders, Brandon Cooks, Chris Godwin. I'm sitting with Leonard Fournette at running back, but I'm really going to play the ADP game here because I'm going to take another wide receiver who I'm immensely high on this year. He's my wide receiver 19. The fact I'm getting him at the end of the 6th round here is crazy to me. When this team has said they want to run their offense through him this season, I'm going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown. Dude was an absolute machine to close out the season. I don't need to give you all the stats on his historic run. You know how good he is. So when I have Jay Jettis, it's my wide receiver 1, and I can follow that up with 2 guys who have top 15 upside, please, every day of the week, thank you, on top of a Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson stack. Happily. All right, so it comes back to me, Jalen Hurts, Damian Harris, TJ Hawkinson, Ken Walker. Why is he going at the end of the 6th round? That should not be happening in your drafts. Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Gabe Davis, Adam Thielen. I need running back. Desperado. Because running backs have fallen off a cliff here. There's not a ton of guys I'm super confident in right now. So I'm going to reach down the board. I'm going to take my next highest ranked running back, and that is Chase Edmonds. Here's the thing about Edmonds. People say he's in a crowded backfield. To that, I say he chose Miami because of Mike McDaniel's zone run scheme. He got offered more money by Buffalo. Buffalo pursued him, hard. Like, that's a good offense to be in. He got offered more money by the Houston Texans. He handpicked the Miami Dolphins to play under Mike McDaniel. If that doesn't tell you that they want to use Chase Edmonds and they paid him, like, you look at the other contracts, they brought in Raheem Mostert, 1-year deal. I don't remember how much, but they signed him, 2 months after Chase Edmonds. Sony Michel got paid the vet min, $1.5 million, way after Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds is the guy in Miami, okay? There's no 2 ways about it. And in a Mike McDaniel run offense, that's a piece I want. I will take that as my running back too. Juju Smith-Schuster, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, Cordero Patterson. Tyler, you keep saying you're hurting at running back here. You thinking about going to another running back here?
Yeah, I probably should. And I'm going to reach down the board a little bit, and I am slowly but surely coming up on this guy. He may be creeping into my top 30 running backs by this weekend.
Oh, he should be. Yeah.
Dameon Pierce.
Oh, I was not expecting that. Oh, brother.
You were expecting Rashad Penny.
But now I know who you're going to take here. Son of a gun.
Rashad Penny?
Dak Prescott, Drake London off the board next. You could go Rashad Penny here?
Probably, because I thought about maybe going Drake London if he was there just as some upside wide receiver. But wait a second. Oh, this just got interesting. You know what? If I have so much faith in Dameon Pierce to be a top 30 running back for me this year, I should probably back that up by not taking another running back.
You do you, man. I'm not going to tell you what to do. This is your draft, your confidence levels. I mean, I'm shocked you have that much confidence in Dameon Pierce. I'll let you kind of elaborate on that after your next pick here. I need to hear more about this because he's not going to creep into mine.
No, I got to take Rashad Penny.
Yes, you do. That's a smart choice. Good man. Good man. We all know what Rashad Penny could do. Why? How is Dameon Pierce going to creep into your top 30? He might hit my top 35, but he ain't getting above 30.
Just the workload that he's going to get. It doesn't sound like Marlon Mack is going to... I mean, Marlon Mack could maybe carve into it a little bit. Rex Burkhead is Rex Burkhead. In that, I've said this before, the Texans have set out to become a more rush or run first team. And you saw that with offensive line signings. They got Dameon Pierce. They need to take some, attention away from Davis Mills a little bit because that's all that they did last year. So I like Dameon Pierce a lot this year. Is he a league winner? No. But he's a great spot starter when one of your starters is on a bye week or something like that. But also, he's a rookie. So that's why grabbing Rashad Penny probably in the 9th, right? No, in the 8th. In the 8th. It's probably the smartest and safest pick because it may not be a guarantee that Dameon Pierce is going to be that good. So grabbing a guy who figures to be the RB1 right at the beginning of the season, Rashad Penny, is probably the move to go.
I can't say I disagree. I mean, I don't have that much faith in Dameon Pierce, but you do you. I'm in a tough spot here, okay? I'm in a really tough spot because I really need running backs. But there's one guy on the board right now. I don't know if I can refrain myself from taking. I think the next best scenario outweighs me potentially getting this player I want. I really want Brandon Ayuk right now. I think he's a home run pick at this point in the draft, but I just can't. I need running back. I have a higher need for running back, so I'm going to take a high upside running back. I'm going to take Ramondre Stevenson here. Mm-hmm. Damian Harris is missing time right now. Okay. And it is no guarantee that he comes back next year. He's on the last year of his deal. I don't think he scores all 15 touchdowns this year. The Patriots really like Ramondre Stevenson. They have confidence he could be a pass catcher this year. So in half PPR, I'm going to take that upside. And unfortunately, Brandon Ayuk did go on the turn. Devonta Smith, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, Hunter Renfrow, Brandon Ayuk on the 9-1. Shoot, Allen Lazard, Chris Olave, Aaron Rodgers. I was hoping Lazard would make his way back to me, but he didn't. So I need another wide receiver. I got tight end. I got Justin Jefferson and Allen Robinson, Amon-Ra, Lenny, Chase Edmonds, and Ramondre as my starters here. I mean, I could take another running back. I'm debating how much longer I can wait on another running back. I think I'm going to. I think I am going to wait on another running back. I'm going to take Christian Kirk here. He's not sexy. He's not fun. But I'll tell you what, he has seen insane volume in the preseason. I believe on 28 routes he's run, he's seen 21 targets. Now, don't quote me on that. That's me if I'm recalling from the Fantasy Footballers podcast. Like, Christian Kirk is just going to ugly volume his way to probably, I think, a top 30 finish this year. I have him as my wide receiver 28 currently. Now, that's not like a fun pick. That's not like I'm starting Christian Kirk every single week pick. But that is I have so much upside in Allen Robinson and Amon-Ra that I'm going to take a guy who will probably just ugly volume his way, and he can be a plug and play whenever I need him to be. Zach Ertz, Melvin Gordon, Trey Lance, Robert Woods, Matthew Stafford, Tyler back on the turn here. You got 4 running backs now. You can't say you're hurting at running back. You're hurting at tight end, though. But there aren't that many good tight ends left on the board.
No, and this is where, again, drafting and strategy come into play because I look at the team that's after me. They took Travis Kelce round 1. So the odds of them taking another tight end should be 0. Sleeper bots have kind of, done us dirty in the past.
Yeah, they've been tripping in the past.
But again, like in an actual draft, the chances that the team after you takes a tight end after they have a Travis Kelce should be zero. Be zero. So I'm excuse me, I'm looking at another receiver because I've waited long enough on a receiver to just now I got to start building up some depth and upside with this pick. Kadarius Toney. I love Kadarius Toney this year for where he's going and the situation that he's in pretty much. By no means do I think that he can be a, could he work his way to becoming like a flex by the end of the year? Possibly. But again, that's upside and that's all speculation. There's little to no like cold hard facts that show that Kadarius Toney could be a boom play or boom pick this year, I should say.
I mean, he's got big playability, and Brian Dable has utilized. Well, I guess he won't be in the slot. They've already said Wandale is going to be in that spot, which I think Wandale's a great sleeper this year if you want to target him. But Kadarius Toney is dynamite with the ball in his hands. There's no second guessing it. There's no question about that. James Cook, Tyler Lockett on the turn. What are you thinking here now? You got 4 wide receivers, and again, you got 3 top 15 wide receivers. You've got a dynamite play in Kadarius Toney, who could go off for 20 on any week. What's going through your mind here now? Are you going to snag a tight end, do you think?
I'm going to snag a tight end, and I'm going to grab the guy that I believe I have as a top 12 option this year.
Yep.
I think he's my top 12. Cole Comet.
Look, he was 9th in tight end targets last year. People are saying, well, he caught 0 touchdowns. Yeah, do you know he had more red zone targets than Jimmy Graham, though? And Jimmy Graham caught 3 touchdowns. Jimmy Graham has scored more touchdowns than Cole Kmet. I believe the touchdown ratio, Jimmy Graham has had 11. Cole Kmet has had 2 in the past 2 seasons. Okay. That screams to me Cole Kmet is going to get more opportunity in the red zone. That screams to me that we could probably see 4 or 5 touchdowns from Cole Kmet this year. Now, the thing is, I got to get into scoring position. But at this point in the draft, you just want volume play tight ends, right? Like all the top tier options are gone. So you need high volume tight ends that have the opportunity to accumulate receptions and yards. And the more targets you get, the more opportunity there is for that, right? Is that a fair summarization of exactly what you think of Komet?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, this actually felt really nice. Oh, my job just got really easy. Pat Freiermuth, Sky Moore, Chase Claypool, Garrett Wilson, Derek Carr. I didn't expect this player to come all the way back to me. I can't believe that this player is actually targeting a week 1 return. Like, this is going to shake up my rankings a ton. I have to go through and update my rankings. James Robinson is still on the board, and there is still talk that he could be the running back 1 in Jacksonville. So I don't know, as my running back 4 at the end of the 10th round to get James Robinson as my running back 4. I mean, it's an upside. I mean, he's not going to produce the same numbers, right? That's why I'm not drafting him as my running back 2. And Travis Etienne is also there. But when I need depth at a position and I can get a volume play this late in the draft in a Doug Peterson offense that typically wants to run the football, I mean, if James Robinson truly comes back week 1 and takes away touches from Travis Etienne, like I might have just gotten a steal in the 10th round there as my running back 4, where I just need to build up depth, right? I'm taking plug and play pieces I can play. Alexander Madison, MVS, Mike Gesicki, Isaiah Spiller, and Tyler Boyd on the turn. George Pickens, Albert Equigbenam. Darrell Henderson. I was really hoping he'd slide back to me. He would have been my next pick. There's another player I want here. Again, I'm just building up depth at running back. I love my 4 wide receivers with Jay Jettis and having Allen Robinson and Amon-Ra as my 3. I'm really confident in those. Obviously, I'm not touching tight end or quarterback because I got Lamar and Mark Andrews as a stack. Pure upside, Kenneth Gainwell. Look, Miles Sanders is still struggling with a hamstring injury right now. Did you know that? He's sitting out of camp with hamstring injury.
Oh, how about that? If he's not ready for week 1, Kenneth Gainwell, the starter, I mean, he has an opportunity to take opportunity away from Miles Sanders. Like, this backfield is not going to be the Miles Sanders show. Okay. Kenneth Gainwell is going to get used. They want to get him more involved in the pass catching game this year. He was 7th in fantasy points per opportunity last season. Granted, limited opportunities, but again, the guy can make plays with the football in his hands. I want that as a depth piece on a team that needs depth at running back. So yeah, to have Kenneth Gainwell
as my RB5, I'm in love with that. I love Kenneth Gainwell's upside this year. Julio Jones, Nyheim Hines, Hunter Henry, Russell Gage, Rashad White, Tyler D. You've kind of got a well-rounded team here. We're in the last 2 rounds here. What are you thinking?
I'm going to grab one more skill position. Right now, with this pick, I'm getting the wide receiver 2 for one of the more dynamic offenses who is avoiding the pup list so he can be back week 2, week 3. And as a depth piece, I love that. Michael Gallup as my wide receiver 5 all day, every day.
Yeah, so coming off of an ACL, I've heard a lot of people say he's just kind of a wasted pick this year because you're not going to be able to use him. I mean, once he returns, though, he's the wide receiver 2 for this team, right? There's no 2 ways about it. He will step into the wide receiver 2 role ahead of Jalen Tolbert. And if he's only missing 2 weeks, like, there aren't... He's a guy where typically in leagues like this, we'd have deeper benches, right? Like we would have a few more players on our bench. But again, Michael Gallup could be a great play this year at his current value. All depends on your faith in him. Some people are just leaving him left for dead because they don't want to deal with him post-injury. But to each their own. You like Michael Gallup, I don't mind taking him there as your wide receiver 5. If he truly doesn't perform, then he's droppable, right? Then he's droppable. Tyler Algier, Christian Watson, back on the turn here. You said you were taking another skill position player, so that led me to believe that you were going to take a backup quarterback or tight end, but I don't think you would do that. Not at this point. That would seem pointless.
Not this time. Not this time. What I am going to grab, though, because I was really crossing my fingers that one of these 2 running backs was going to fall to me, and Algier was the one that went before this guy. And I'm just going to bank on a changing of the guard over in Washington. I'm going to grab Brian Robinson.
I knew he wasn't going to fall back to me, but that definitely would have been my last pick had he fallen all the way back to me.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm in a spot with my running backs with Kamara, Kareem Hunt, Dameon Pierce, and Rashad Penny that are all starting. Kareem Hunt's not starting, but he's a 1B guy, so he gets plenty of work anyway. That I can take a shot on a Brian Robinson who may end up actually being the starter in Washington. And knowing what kind of offense that Washington likes to run, they like to run the ball. Brian Robinson could be a sneaky pick this year.
I put him in as one of my sleepers. We did early sleepers way back in the middle of July, and Brian Robinson was one of my sleepers because I thought we could see that changing of the guard you're talking about in Washington this year. Seriously, Gibson's 1 fumble away from seeing only probably 35% of the touches instead of 60%. Is that fair to say?
Oh, for sure. And even if, it's a split backfield in terms of carries between Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, Washington has shown already that they like Brian Robinson a little bit more on the goal line than Antonio Gibson.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all I need to hear.
Yeah, touchdowns. Give me touchdowns this late in the draft. If you can give me touchdown upside, give me the touchdowns. Jarvis Landry, Captain Kirk Cousins, Rondale Moore, Tua Tagovailoa, Ronald Jones. So had I not taken Lamar Jackson, I probably would have punted on quarterback and taken Kirk Cousins to stack with Justin Jefferson. I'm really surprised I didn't do that, but to get Mark Andrews to then have Lamar Jackson, there was something about that I just kind of fell in love with. Again, for a team that's hurting at running back, I'm so confident in my wide receivers because I got 3 of my top 20 wide receivers. I'm not going to worry about wide receivers much. I'm going to see if one can emerge later in free agency. If I do run out, or if my running back depth is proving to be poor, I can just drop one of them and pick up another wide receiver. I'm not too worried about that because most weeks I'm not going to be starting whatever wide receiver I take at this point. So again, I'm shooting for the moon at running back. Took Isaiah Pacheco there. If there's any truth to him being near the top of the depth chart in Kansas City, and I can score a running back 1 in an Andy Reid offense, sure. As my last pick, I'll shoot for upside. I'll swing for the fences there. And you know what? If he comes out and plays 10% of the snaps week 1 and just disappoints me, cool. I'll drop him and I'll pick up whatever running back does pop off week 1, right? Again, I'm swinging at running back because I chose not to go with an elite one. So That wraps out the draft. Marlon Mack, Jahan Dotson, Khalil Herbert, Irv Smith went afterwards. We kept that short and quick and concise. How about that? That's
Lovely.
phenomenal.
It's a thing of beauty.
It's a thing of beauty. Let's cruise through our teams here. I can go first. I'll kind of review my team. And since I was the 5th pick, I chronologically came before you. Therefore, I have to go ahead of you now. It's not because I drafted a better team than you or anything, Tyler. It's just chronological. That's all this is.
I was going to say, you can just say that you think you're better than me. And I would have been like, oh, okay, that's fine.
I'm better than you. My first overall pick at the 105, I went Justin Jefferson ahead of Cooper Kupp. Again, I'm going to be tweaking my rankings here, and I am going to have Justin Jefferson as my wide receiver 1 this year. Cooper Kupp is only
brother.
Cooper Kupp is only 3 fantasy points ahead of Justin Jefferson in my projections this year. So I have Justin Jefferson launching into the wide receiver 1 this year. Now I'll flip that, and it'll still be close. That is not to say like Cooper Kupp is falling off. It is more so like I think I'm going to give Justin Jefferson the slight edge now over Cooper Kupp. I went Mark Andrews at the 208, then Leonard Fournette in the 3rd, Lamar Jackson in the 4th, Allen Robinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chase Edmonds, Ramondre Stevenson, Christian Kirk, James Robinson, Kenneth Gainwell, Isaiah Pacheco. After about Chase Edmonds, I just started swinging for upside. That's all I could ask for at this point because I loved my studs. And Chase Edmonds isn't the most ideal running back too, but when I have a positional advantage at tight end, when I have the stack with Lamar Jackson, when I have Justin Jefferson, frankly, I love the upside of all my players. This is very much like a high upside draft for me. I typically don't draft high upside. I do. I draft
best ball.
Yeah, right. I know this had a very best ball feel to me. I don't know how I feel about it. I do like this team though. I would feel great about walking in with this team into the regular season. Typically, I like walking in with 2 stud running backs, but again, with going wide receiver in the first round, it's the choices you have to make. Are you willing to sacrifice loading up on running back early to then take shots on guys after the running back dead zone? I mean, and I took Leonard Fournette was the closest thing I got to the running back dead zone, and then for 3 straight rounds, I didn't touch running back, which is hard to do, but you kind of have to do. Tyler, why don't you give the people your team here? Your team, I was surprised with some of your picks. I'm not going to lie.
The only reason why I said like, oh, is this best ball is because I look at my team and I'm like,
yours is very much that way
best
too.
Ball. This is
Except
just
it isn't. It's half PPR redraft.
It's pure upside. So I started off my draft with Jamar Chase at the 111. Followed that up with Alvin Kamara in the 2nd. Then I grabbed 2 more wide receivers in my top 12, and Mike Williams and Michael Pittman. Then I grabbed Joe Burrow because at that point with who was on the board, my flag plan and AJ Dillon win. So I was just like, yeah, well, let's just go grab a stack then. So following Joe Burrow, I went 3 straight running backs: Kareem Hunt, Dameon Pierce, Rashad Penny. I made an argument that Dameon Pierce could be, a top 30 running back, and then I thought about it a little bit as the draft was continuing and stuff. It's more like top 36 than top 30.
I was going to say, now you got to take it back. I knew you were going.
I'm not taking it back. I'm being more reasonable. I
mean, honestly, though, the fact you still ended up with Kareem Hunt and Rashad Penny after Alvin Kamara is if you start a draft like that, that's what I want to do too. Like, I am waiting on those guys to stack up at depth everywhere else. So yeah, no, I actually like the approach you took there.
Bingo. Yep. And then follow that up with just a whole bunch of depth then, besides Cole Comet, because I needed a tight end at that point. But I grabbed Kadarius Toney, Michael Gallup, and Brian Robinson, all guys that have super high upside for where they're going just because of the situations they're in. And Michael Gallup is going 2 rounds later than Kadarius Toney. And if Michael Gallup was fully healthy, Michael Gallup may be going in the flex territory.
Right. If he wasn't coming off of injury, we're talking Michael Gallup probably in the, I'm trying to find like the appropriate range for him here. Like, honestly, we're probably looking at him like in the Elijah Moore, Devonta Smith range, Hunter Renfrow range,
in that,
which is about
10 rounds.
Right. Which is about 4 rounds earlier than where he's currently going.
So yeah, I love the depth that I built. I love the instant points that I'm getting with my wide receivers, and I know Kareem Hunt is not the best wide or running back 2 to have on your team, but having the points with Mike Williams, Michael Pittman, Jamar Chase covers an RB2 drop off between Alvin Kamara and Kareem Hunt.
100%. The fact that you have those 3 wide receivers makes up for the depth at running back, or makes up for the gap at running back, like you said, on your team. I 100% agree with that. So I realized from our last mock draft with Alex Caruso of Fresh Fantasy, it was so awesome having him on. I realized we never posted our teams. We never let people vote on that.
Oh, no.
But I mean, it was pretty clear. Okay, the comments let us know on YouTube. We got mopped by Alex, which I think is true. Alex absolutely demolished us in that draft. I think he had the only thing I think that could have gone better for him was if Amon-Ra would have come all the way back to him.
Yep, true.
And thankfully he didn't, because then it would have just been like Tyler and I just look like a bunch of babbling idiots. But we'll put our teams up on social media tomorrow. We'll get Cameron on that. Cameron not with us today. Had to step away for personal reasons today. So hopefully he'll be back on the pod next week, but we're letting him take any time that he needs to be away for a little bit. So we'll get our teams up on the socials tomorrow. We'll let the people decide who had the better team. You know what? If you're on YouTube right now, go drop your comment right now. You can go drop your comment that Lucas has the better team than Tyler, and we'll move on. It's great. Just let me know I did better.
I was gonna say maybe we switch like these teams from this draft with the teams that we drafted with Alex and see if anyone notices.
I didn't mind my team in Alex's draft. He just drafted an incredible team. He just went out and got his guys, and they all fell to him perfectly. So
I don't remember my team at all. So I just like this one a lot better. So like,
anything you want to add before we sign off here?
No, happy draft season, folks. And shameless plug, go get the Fantasy Football Fellas draft guide. Links in all of our social bios. It's $5. We're like
in the description.
I'm not gonna make an argument about what you can spend $5 on. You know what you can get for $5 these days.
We've done that bit too many times.
Too many times. It's a good investment. Just saying. That's all that needs to be said.
The FDFD, $5 Fellas Draft Guide.
FDFD.
Go get that in description here. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, $5 plus your email. Please include your email, and we will get that sent over to you. We're the FF Fellas on Twitter, the FF Fellas on Instagram. Are we nearing 10K on Instagram?
Let me check real quick.
You can go check.
I know that we're nearing 10K on YouTube.
We're nearing 150K on TikTok. We're gonna have a lot of milestones coming up here.
Let's see. Over on
the Twitter
Instagram.
Is where we're lacking, man. If you haven't followed us on Twitter, go follow us on Twitter. FFLs on Twitter,
please.
That's the one that's lagging right now.
Yeah, that's the one that's kind of been on and off. But once the season starts, we'll be able to like live tweet games and stuff. So that'll be worth a follow. But Instagram, we're coming up on 9,500 right now.
There we go. We're creeping up. We were at 91 earlier today, so that means we're at another 400 followers. We'll be at 10K by the time you're listening to this episode. I guarantee it.
Yeah, on YouTube, we're over 10.6 followers now.
Yeah. Thanks for 10K on YouTube, y'all. Thanks for 10K on YouTube. We appreciate y'all. You can follow our personals as well. Go follow Lucas Wenzel, WENC as in cat L on Twitter.
It rhymes with pencil.
Yeah, it rhymes with pencil. Right. But you don't. You basically you spell pencil, but you start it with a W and then take out the I. And that's my last name.
Wenzel.
There you go. You can follow Tyler on Twitter, Tyler_Plath on Twitter. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. This was fun. I hate to say it. I think this was our last mock draft episode before the season starts, because don't say it. You think we might have one more?
I mean, no, we're not shutting the door just yet. It's closing, but we're not shutting the door just yet.
That's news to me.
Well, I'm just saying we all enjoy a good mock draft, and who knows? By popular demand, it may come back. Who knows?
Maybe we'll do a bonus episode before week 1 of NFL content. I didn't say that though.
You didn't hear from us though.
You didn't hear from the people who will be bringing you the episode or anything. Thanks for tuning in. Three Stooges being dudes for the Fantasy Football Fellas. We will see you all next week. Deuces.